The encounter at the dojo. Dan Inosanto's private dojo, Los Angeles, California. Afternoon of March 12, 1973. The smell of used tatami mixed with old sweat hangs in the air. Afternoon light streams through high windows, creating golden rectangles on the worn wooden floor. In a corner, a group of students adjust their black belts while watching the entrance. The silence is broken by the sound of a door opening. An imposing man enters, 193 centimeters tall, 105 kilograms of solid mass distributed across shoulders wide as construction beams. Steven Seagal. Jet black hair pulled back in a ponytail, 31 years old, 7th degree black belt in Aikido, recently returned from Japan where he spent 15 years studying under legendary masters. He walks with the absolute confidence of someone who has never been defeated in his discipline. His eyes sweep the dojo. They stop on a small figure by the Makiwara. 63 kilograms, 172 centimeters, Bruce Lee, 32 years old. The physical difference is brutal. A 42 kilograms weight gap and 20 centimeters in height. It's like seeing a cat facing a Siberian tiger. Seagal crosses his arms, his voice booming in the dojo. I've heard you mix arts, that you take a bit from here and a bit from there. Aikido is perfect as it is. It doesn't need modifications from someone who doesn't understand its essence. Bruce stops his practice and turns slowly without expression, only those piercing eyes that seem to read every muscle fiber of his opponent. Perfect. Bruce asks, show me. Now let me ask you something personal. Have you ever met someone so convinced they were right that they couldn't see beyond their own technique? Someone who confused tradition with absolute truth. What happened in the following 17 seconds would forever change how the martial arts world understands the difference between elegant theory and brutal reality. This wasn't a fight. It was a lesson in applied physics that left the most respected Aikido master in the West completely paralyzed, unable to apply a single technique from his perfect arsenal. The 17-second lesson. If you want to discover how a 63 kilograms man systematically dismantled every principle of Aikido, without throwing a single devastating blow, stay until the end. Subscribe right now, hit the bell, leave a like and comment if you've ever seen someone so self-assured face a completely different reality. The warrior of perfect Aikido, Steven Seagal, was no ordinary man. At 17, he had left the US to immerse himself in the martial world of Japan. 15 years later, he returned with impressive credentials. He had trained under Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of modern Aikido. He had opened his own dojo in Osaka, the first Westerner to do so. His wrists could break arms with twisting techniques. His throws sent bodies flying like leaves in a gale. Aikido was his religion, and like any true devotee, he did not tolerate heresy. Bruce Lee, in contrast, was in a mode of perpetual exploration. He had just spent 3 hours testing variations of kick interceptions. His philosophy was simple but revolutionary. Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is specifically your own. He had studied Wing Chun, Western boxing, fencing, judo, and kendo, fusing pieces from 27 different styles into Jeet Kune Do. He wasn't irreverent out of rebellion. He was scientific. If something worked, he kept it. If it was just tradition without function, he discarded it. The challenge. The students formed an instinctive circle. Dan Inosanto stepped in to mediate, but Bruce raised a hand. It's okay, Bruce said, his voice calm, almost kind. I'm always interested in learning. Show me your Aikido. Seagal removed his jacket, revealing arms the thickness of young tree trunks. He dropped into his stance. Feet apart, low center of gravity, open hands floating like birds of prey. In Aikido, Seagal began, his voice taking the tone of a master who has repeated this lesson 1,000 times. We do not attack, we flow. When you attack, I use your own energy, your momentum. I direct you where I want you to go. No force, no resistance, only principle. Bruce nodded. I understand the theory. Does it work against someone who doesn't attack the way you expect? It works against any attack, Seagal replied with absolute certainty. Interesting, said Bruce. Then let's do this. You try to apply your techniques, I move freely, no rules, no predetermined forms. Let's see how your Aikido adapts to reality instead of a demonstration. Seagal's face flashed with irritation. Very well, he said. But when you end up on the floor not understanding how you got there, Remember that Aikido has been tested for generations. Bruce smiled. 17 seconds. Give me 17 seconds to try to touch you. Use all your Aikido, defend yourself as if it were a real fight. Just 17 seconds. The breakdown. Second 1 to 2, Bruce doesn't move. He observes. He is processing data like a computer. He steps laterally, moving in an arc rather than a straight line. Second 3 to 4, Bruce feints high. Seagal reacts to intercept the wrist for a Nikio lock, but Bruce's hand vanishes like smoke. Bruce is suddenly 3 centimeters closer. Second 5 to 6. Seagal starts to sweat. Bruce isn't throwing punches he can redirect. He is flowing like water finding cracks. It is an Aikidoka's nightmare. An opponent with no clear intent to attack. Second 7 to 8. Seagal tries to grab Bruce's wrist, katatatori. His fingers close on thin air. Bruce touches Seagal lightly on the shoulder. I could be here if I wanted. Second 9 to 11. Frustrated, Seagal tries a two-handed grab, Morote Dori, for a projection. For a microsecond he thinks he has it. But Bruce collapses his elbow, shortening the lever. Seagal's grip slips. The projection dies before it begins. Second 12 to 14. Bruce touches Seagal's ribs, then the back of his neck. Seagal is now chasing. A cardinal sin in Aikido. He throws a raw, technical-less right hook out of desperation. Second 15 to 17. Bruce leans back by millimeters, simple geometry. He slides to the exposed side and places his palm gently on Seagal's sternum. He doesn't strike. He just rests it there. Dominance. The aftermath. Time, called Inosanto. The dojo was silent. Seagal stood panting, not from physical exhaustion, but from mental shock. Bruce didn't gloat. He approached Seagal and said, "Your Aikido is beautiful, but it has a fundamental assumption that works in the dojo but fails in reality." Bruce demonstrated on a student, showing how Aikido works perfectly against a predictable attacker who commits their weight. "But I didn't give you momentum to redirect," Bruce explained. "The problem isn't that your technique is bad. It's that it is optimized for a specific type of opponent, one who follows the rules of tradition." Seagal's arrogance vanished, replaced by a forced but genuine humility. "Show me," he finally said. "Show me what I saw wrong." The 17-second lesson, Bruce Lee and Steven Seagal. Instantly retreat. Your correct response, according to Aikido, left you exposed because you assumed a commitment I never made. Seagal observes intently. For the first time, he is looking not as a warrior defending his system, but as a student learning its limitations. "And when you tried to grab," Bruce continues, "your timing was calibrated for a normal attack speed. But I was using micro-movements, millimeters, milliseconds. Your brain, trained for years in the dojo, expected patterns. I gave you no patterns." Dan Inosanto approaches. "It's like the difference between chess and real combat," he adds. "In chess, both players follow the rules. In combat, there is no guarantee your opponent follows the manual." Seagal nods slowly. "So, what you're saying is that Aikido works, but only against attackers who attack in a certain way." "Exactly," says Bruce. "It's not that it's broken. It's that it has optimal conditions. In real life, you cannot guarantee optimal conditions. The universal principle." Bruce points to Seagal's hands. "You have incredible hands, strong, technical. But you used them expecting me to enter your range so you could apply them. What happens when your opponent never enters that range? Or enters and leaves before you can react?" He grabs a striking pad and holds it in front of Seagal. "Attack this." Seagal strikes the pad. It's a powerful blow, sinking deep into the foam. "Now," says Bruce, "imagine this pad can read your intention a microsecond before you strike and moves just enough so your fist finds air instead of a target." Bruce moves the pad at the last instant. Seagal hits air. That is the difference between theory and reality. In theory, your perfect strike lands. In reality, your perfect target moves. Seagal sits on the mat, not out of exhaustion, but because his entire world has just been reconfigured. He spent 15 years perfecting a beautiful art, but in 17 seconds he learned that beauty and effectiveness are not always the same. The 4 pillars of adaptation. Aikido has enormous value, Bruce says, sitting across from him. Its principles of circular motion, using the opponent's momentum, and staying centered are all correct. But you need to adapt it. Make it work against opponents who do not cooperate. How? Seagal asks. In that question, there is a total absence of ego, only a genuine need to know. Eliminate predictability. Stop expecting your opponent to attack predictably. Train against multiple styles. Boxers with fast jabs, wrestlers who want to take you down, karatekas who keep their distance. Reduce dependence on grips. In 17 seconds, you tried to grab me 4 times. You failed all 4 because you expected my arm to be where it wasn't. You need to develop the sensitivity to adjust in real time. Shorten your movements. Your techniques are wide, beautiful, and perfect for demonstration. In combat, you need compressed versions, smaller, faster, less telegraphed. Train against real resistance. Train against people who are genuinely trying not to be thrown. That is where you discover what actually works. The transformation. Seagal absorbed every word. His pride was wounded, but his mind was open. What you did to me, Seagal finally says, wasn't just speed. You knew where I was going to be before I did. Bruce smiles. Timing. It's not about being faster. It's about being in the correct time, while your opponent is in the wrong time. You can be slow and effective if your timing is perfect. You can be fast and useless if your timing is off. He stands up and extends his hand to help Seagal up. Your Aikido isn't fake. It's just incomplete, like all art when practiced in a vacuum. Take what is useful, discard what is merely ceremonial, and add what works for you specifically. The legacy of the Hakama. 3 months after their initial encounter, Seagal returned to the dojo with a gift for Bruce, a black Hakama made of fine silk. Inside, embroidered in gold kanji, were the words, "Water that finds its way." I spent 15 years learning to be like water, Seagal admitted. But I forgot the most important principle. Water has no fixed shape. It adapts. I had become rigid. Bruce Lee passed away on July 20th, 1973. At the funeral, Dan Inosanto told Seagal, "Bruce told me about you. He said you were one of the few masters who had the courage to unlearn so you could learn again." Years later, when students asked Seagal why his Aikido looked different from the traditional style, he would tell them, "It doesn't matter what you know. It matters how fast you can stop knowing when the evidence shows you are wrong."